But I heard, you know, that you just couldn't stand being on death row after 12 years.
Nick, this is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Aileen Wuornos because she'll kill again.
Tell me why I got halfway through this damn video. Well, not halfway through because my eyes ain't even done. But I got a good bit of the way through this video. Whole time, camera was not recording. It was on, but it wasn't recording.
I was gonna change up the wine. Just to call me Whitley, I told it he'll name. Listen, the baddest of school, the baddest of game. Excuse me, I need to nobody's in my lane.
Also, because my introduction got cut out, we're not gonna talk about where I've been in this video, because I am going to film a life update immediately after I'm done with this, and that's when I'll explain everything. If you care. If you don't care, don't worry about it. But if you care about where I've been, life update video will be the next video that I post. This one is definitely going up tonight. The other one may be going up tomorrow. So that's it. I am very angry because I was literally... I had gotten through the childhood. I was getting into the arrests. And the camera was not recording, honey. I am very disappointed. What I'm thinking about doing is just catching y'all up so that this video don't be taking too long. But, girl, we just gonna get into it. Aileen Carol Pittman was born on February 29th of 1956. She is a Pisces, and I also found it very interesting that she was born on February 29th because that's not something that you hear very often. She was born in Rochester, Michigan to Diane Wuornos and Leo Pittman. Diane and Leo got married when they were 14 and 18 respectively. And they got married in 1954. They gave birth to Eileen's brother Keith in 1955. And then they gave birth to Aileen in February of 1956. However, 2 months before Aileen was born, Diane filed for divorce from Leo. And unfortunately, Aileen would never meet her father because he ended up going to prison for allegedly raping a 7-year-old girl. And not long after that, well, it was a little ways after that, Leo ended up taking his own life when he was in prison on January 30th of 1969. Leo never met him. I'm not sure if Keith would ever see him again. I'm just not sure. That was the end of his life. In January of 1960, Diane said fuck them kids because she packed up Keith and Aileen and took them to her parents, Lori and Britta Wuornos' residence. And I'm not sure if they ever saw their mother again, but if I had to guess, I would say they probably didn't. Keith and Aileen were adopted by their grandparents on March 18th of 1960, so a little over 2 months after they got there. And this was not a good living arrangement situation at all. It was terrible because both of the grandparents were alcoholics, and the grandfather, their names are so weird because, like, I can't tell if Lori is a man or a woman's name. But before y'all start, there's a basketball player. His name is Lauri Markkanen. That's a man. So I don't know if this name is... And then Britta, I don't know. All I know is Lori and Britta were alcoholics, and one of them started sexually assaulting Aileen. Whoever was the grandfather, that's who was doing it. And not only was he sexually assaulting her, but he was just like physically abusive towards her as well. And whenever he would get into his little mood, he would force her to like strip down to her skivvies, and then he would beat her, and then he would sexually assault her. At the age of 11, Aileen would begin exchanging sexual favors for food, cigarettes, and drugs. In 1970, at the age of 14, she actually became pregnant. Don't talk about my face, I'm gonna fix it. Yeah, she became pregnant with a son at the age of 14. Now, no one knows who the father of the child is. It's been speculated that it was the grandfather's friend. It's also been speculated that it was the grandfather himself. I don't think anybody knows except for the person that is the actual father and Aileen, but Aileen has not spoken out about it, which leads me to believe that it's the grandfather, because why would you not say anything? But she gave birth to a son on March 23rd of 1971, and she gave birth in a home for unwed mothers. So as soon as she gave birth, the child was immediately taken away from her and placed up for adoption. So she never saw her son, she never got to hold him, anything like that. He was immediately taken away from her. Months after giving birth, Aileen ended up dropping out of school, and her grandmother also died of liver failure, you know, because she was an alcoholic. And following her dying of liver failure, the grandfather, for some odd reason, decided to kick Aileen out of the house, and she then started her career in sex work to survive. She was dealing with homelessness, and she would live in the woods near the home that she grew up in because she didn't know where else to go, which is so sad. On May 27th of 1974, 18-year-old Aileen was arrested in Jefferson County, Colorado for driving under the influence, disorderly conduct, and for shooting a .22 caliber pistol out of the window of a moving vehicle. And sis decided that I'm not from Colorado, I ain't gonna be here that long, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So she decided that she was not gonna go to court, and she was also charged with failure to appear. I have no idea if she ever went back to Colorado and did anything at all. I mean, she paid the ultimate price when she paid her debt to society, so there's that. But I'm not sure if she ever set foot back in Colorado, because they definitely had a warrant out for that arrest. In 1976, she met 69-year-old yacht club president Louis Fell, and I'm not sure how long the two dated, but they got married. And they were not married that long because Aileen and Louis got into a little fight at home, and Aileen grabbed his cane and beat his ass with it. So he got a protective order filed against her, and that was the end of that. Around this time, she also went to prison for assault at a local bar that she used to frequent. She did go to jail for this assault, and following her being released, she actually went back to Michigan. And it wasn't that long, because when she got back to Michigan on July 14th of 1976, she was arrested for assault and disturbing the peace after she threw a cue ball at the back of a bartender's head. Hopefully y'all know what a cue ball is, but you know that little white pool ball that, first of all, them things are heavy. They are heavy. So imagine somebody throwing that at the back of your head. I'm surprised sis survived, because Aileen, if you've ever seen a picture of Aileen Wuornos, she looks strong. So if she threw that shit with even half of all of her strength, you are getting knocked out. Period. Like, ain't no way that she's lucky to have survived it. That's all I'm gonna say. And honestly, July of 1976 was really whooping her ass because on July 17th of 1976, her brother Keith ended up passing away. He had cancer of the esophagus, and she got $10,000 in his, she was granted $10,000 from his life insurance policy. So she used $105 to pay a fine for speeding, and she used the rest of it to buy a car. Well, not the rest of it, but a good bit of it to buy a car. And she ended up totaling the car not that long after she got it. So what was the point, Aileen? On July 21st of 1976, her marriage to Lewis was annulled after only being married to each other for like 9 weeks. At the age of 22, Aileen would attempt to take her own life for the 6th time since the age of 14. She tried to, well, she shot herself in the stomach, but she was able to be saved through like surgeries and stuff at the hospital. And I'm gonna put in some like clips of like interviews that she did. You can tell that she really did not want to be on this earth, and I don't blame her at all, because sometimes I don't want to be here either. But don't call the police on me, I'm fine. But baby, I get it. I get where she's coming from. That's what I'm trying to say. It might have sounded bad, but
You know, I was just wondering how you're going to be, you know, at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Are you prepared?
I'm prepared. I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
And how...
I'm all right with it.
on May 20th, 1981, Aileen was arrested in Edgewater, Florida for the armed robbery of a convenience store. Sis stole $35 and 2 packs of cigarettes. And she went to prison on, She went to prison on May 4th of 1982, and she was released on June 30th of 1983. But you know how the Bible say trouble don't last always? Well, baby, this trouble was lasting always, because February 1st of 1984, she was arrested again for forgery at a Key West bank. She was writing bad checks and trying to cash them, and they caught that ass. On November 30th of 1985, she was suspected of robbing a pawn shop and stealing a revolver and some ammunition in Pasco County, Florida. Is it Pasco? I hope it's Pasco. Floridians, don't get on me, I ain't from there. On January 4th, 1986, she was arrested in Miami for car theft, resisting arrest, and disturbing the peace. She got pulled over in her... I'm actually not sure whose car it was. She got pulled over in a stolen car, and she got charged with obstruction of justice because she provided a family member, I think like her aunt or something. She provided a family member's ID, and the family member resembled her, but they ended up like getting her real information, like be for real. And that's when she was charged with obstruction of justice. And Miami Police Department also found the revolver and the ammunition, which tied her to the robbery case in Pasco County, but nothing ever came from it. They couldn't do anything because that was out of their jurisdiction, so she kind of got away with that one. On June 2nd, 1986, I am about to... If you're from Florida, you're probably laughing at me right now because I don't know how to pronounce none of this shit. I'm sorry. But she was arrested in Volusia. I should have googled this before I did this, but I think it's Volusia or Volusia, one of them counties. She was arrested after she was accused by a man of holding him at gunpoint and demanding that he give her $200. And when she was arrested, she was found carrying ammunition, and she also had a .22 caliber pistol underneath the passenger seat where she was sitting. In 1986, she would go on to meet the love of her life, Ty Moore, at a gay bar in Daytona Beach called Zodiac. Ty was a hotel maid, and the two ended up like falling in love, moving in together. Y'all know how the L in LGBT get together. You know, they meet each other, they fall in love, they move in a matter of 2 weeks. Like, it's amazing, it's beautiful, I love it. Even though Ty worked as a hotel maid, Aileen still kind of supported them through her sex work and everything. July 4th of 1987, Ty and Aileen were questioned regarding a assault and battery charge that took place at a bar with a beer bottle. I'm not quite sure of the details of that, but as you will start to see, Ty really, like, if you've seen the movie Monster, it is currently on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken. It should be on Netflix. If you've seen the movie Monster, first of all, take it with a grain of salt, but certain elements of that movie are true. One of those things, I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I'm not sure if this part was in it, but Aileen would get into like all types of trouble, and she would just call Ty, and Ty would like get her out of it. I haven't seen the movie in a while. I may need to watch it again so that I can remember. I'm gonna watch it after I finish filming this. But yeah, so she would like always come to bail her out just to like keep her from going to jail and everything. So when the two were questioned about they weren't arrested, they were just questioned because of it. And I'm not even sure if Ty was there that night, but when the police were there asking her questions and everything, she called Ty. Ty pulled up, and Ty basically just like, she will always take Aileen's side. So nothing was ever Aileen's fault, and she was never forced to accept accountability for her actions. It was always just, well, this person did this to me, and then Ty is like, well, you know, she be chilling, so it's very possible that she's telling the truth this time. And it would always happen like that. Like, anytime Aileen got into any type of trouble, she would call Ty, and Ty would pull up and be like, yeah, that's not her, that's not even in her character, like, she's fine, just let her go. And that was all the time. March 12th, 1988, Aileen accused a bus driver of assault. Ty wasn't even there, but she called Ty. Well, she named Ty as a witness, and Ty was like, oh yeah, I was there the whole time, I saw the whole thing, he definitely assaulted her. Wasn't even there, and took her side anyway. And that came back to bite her in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. The next, like, the next couple of years are just, Aileen was down bad. She was so down bad. Honestly, I might have to, let me put some concealer on, because I might have to read this straight from my notes, because there's no way I'm gonna remember all of this shit. Okay, this part, I need my notes, because I need all of this information to be as accurate as possible. So, okay. Now, mind you, all of this happened over about a 9-month span. So, yeah. November 30th, 1989, 51-year-old Richard Mallory drove Aileen to an abandoned lot in exchange some sexual favors for money, you know, that type of stuff. December 2nd, 1989, his car was found, and on December 13th, his body was found miles away in a wooded area. He had been shot several times, but he was shot twice in his left lung, and that would be the shot that actually killed him. Aileen claimed that this was in self-defense because she said that Richard had beaten, raped, and sodomized her. I do not know how true that is. So, to back up her claims, it just so happens that Richard Mallory was arrested in Maryland for attempted rape, and he had actually served time and everything in prison. So that kind of backed up her story a little bit, but they still weren't believing it. June 1st, 1990, the naked body of 47-year-old David Spears was found in Citrus County, Florida, along U.S. Route 19. He was shot 6 times with a .22 caliber pistol. On June 6th of 1990, oh my God, that was not that long ago. June 6th of 1990, the body of 40-year-old Charles Carskadden, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's one of the two, was found in Pasco County, wrapped in an electric blanket. He was shot 9 times with a .22 caliber pistol, and it was later reported that Aileen was seen driving his car and that she went and pawned his gun. July 4th of 1990, the car of 65-year-old Peter Symes was found in Orange Springs, Florida. Ty and Aileen were spotted in this man's car. Well, Ty and Aileen were found ditching this man's car, and Eileen's palm print was on the interior, which really doesn't mean anything, because if he was soliciting her services, her prints are going to be in the car. Peter's body was never recovered. They have no idea where this man's body is to this day. It's never been found. August 4th, 1990, the body of 50-year-old Troy Burris was found in a wooded area in Marion County along State Route 19. State Route 19. He was shot twice. On September 12, 1990, the body of 56-year-old Air Force veteran and former chief of police Charles Humphreys was found in Marion County as well. He was fully clothed and he was shot 7 times. November 19, 1960, 62-year-old Walter Antonio's body was found barely dressed in Dixie County, and he was shot 4 times. July 4th, 1990, here we go again with the 4th of July. What is it about this day? Aileen and Ty were involved in a car accident in Peter Symes' car. And so they were in a residential area, and they ended up rear-ending another car, or one of them were drunk and they ended up like, they hit another car. That's what matters. They hit another car, and when they realized that, of course, the car is stolen and the man who owns the car is literally missing, they tried to flee the scene. But there was a witness that called the police, and she stayed there until the police got there, and she gave them a very accurate description of Aileen and Ty. The witness's name was Rhonda Bailey. Not that it really matters, but that was her name. So after Rhonda Bailey gave them like the very detailed description of them, it led to a statewide manhunt, because they decided that they were gonna go ahead and connect Aileen to all of these missing people and all of these bodies that they were finding all over the place, because it was a similar MO, very similar. So they were like, if she did this and this man is missing, she possibly did all the rest of them, which they came to the correct conclusion. It is now January of 1991. Aileen and Ty have split up because Ty said that, you know, it was getting to be too much. She also was starting to become suspicious of, she called her Lee. She was starting to become suspicious of, because Lee would come home with gifts for Ty, money for Ty. She would just come home with, she came home with different cars and this and that, and it led Ty to become suspicious. So she was like, you doing something that you ain't got no business doing, and I don't want no parts of it. So rightfully so, she dipped up out of there. So they break up, and it is January 9th to be exact of 1991. And Aileen is at the Last Resort Biker Bar in Volusia County, girl, in Florida, V County. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it V Valley. So Aileen was arrested in V Valley, probably for disturbing the peace, starting a bar fight. You know how Aileen get down, baby. So she was arrested at the bar, and she was arrested. Well, the police were called to the bar, but because Aileen had an outstanding warrant, she was picked up on that warrant, and they had finally got her where they wanted her, because they had been looking for her in connection to all of these missing men or murdered men and everything. So they ended up tracking Ty. Ty had ended up going back to her hometown because she wasn't originally from Florida. She was just there. So the day after they arrested Aileen, they tracked Ty ass all the way back to Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yes, where the office was filmed. They ended up reaching out to Ty, and she was folding under pressure. I'm not gonna lie. She was not about that life, and she was like, look, y'all got the wrong person, but I know who you looking for, and if I can get immunity, I will tell you everything. So in exchange for immunity, they worked out a plan to get Ty to trick Aileen into confessing to all of the murders. So they ended up bringing Ty back down to Florida and setting her up in a motel room. And over the next 3 days, they would get her to like call Aileen in jail to eventually get her to confess. And after 3 days, she eventually did. How they got her to go ahead and confess is Ty ended up calling Aileen while she was in prison, and she was saying, you know, the police have been you know, coming to me. They're threatening to arrest me, and you know I had nothing to do with this, and I just want you to help me clear my name. So on the phone, while it's being recorded, while they are at the motel room listening in on the call, they hear Aileen say, you have nothing to worry about. Like, the blame is all on me. You know, I did everything. You're innocent. I'll never put you in a position to go down for something that you had no part in. You know, shit like that. So that was all they needed. They had a recorded confession of her saying that she did all of this shit. So Ty was granted immunity for getting her to confess. And they also asked for her to testify in court, which she also did. These hoes ain't loyal. But when Aileen was confessing to everything, she also maintained that it was done in self-defense. She stuck with that until that lethal injection was up in that body. She did admit that she murdered them, but she definitely stuck to the fact that it was in self-defense. She never wavered from that, ever, which is kind of what leads me to believe that it is possible that it could have been in self-defense. And I already know how like people be feeling about sex workers. Baby, I don't care. It takes some bravery to do some sex work, because when I tell you I could not do it, I can't. But neither here nor there. There are a lot of times where sex workers will get robbed, or where they will be assaulted, and they feel like nobody will believe the sex worker because, hello, they're like, you do sex work, nobody's gonna believe you over me. Like, I'm a noble citizen, I pay my taxes, blah blah blah, nobody's gonna believe you. So that's what they basically go off of, and they feel like they can do whatever they want to the sex workers, which is fucked up. It's already, like, come on, it's already bad enough they gotta sell their body for money. I don't want to say it like that, but why would you make life worse for them? Like, why would you? It's already bad enough that they have to do this to support themselves, their families, their kids, whatever they have going on. And for you to rob them out of their body because you, like, come on, be for real. It's messed up. So that's what leads me to believe her, because it definitely is possible for women to be taken advantage of while they are doing sex work. But, you know, she used that excuse, and unfortunately nobody believed her because she was still charged with the murders. So on January 14th of 1992, Aileen went to trial for the murder of Richard Mallory. And this is how messed up Florida is. At the time, there was this like law called, I guess it was a law, but it was called Williams Rule. Williams Rule basically allowed the prosecution to use your previous criminal background as leverage to basically prove, or as leverage to basically say that because you have a criminal background, we're not going to believe this because of your background, which is very messed up. It's very messed up. because a lot of people that are convicted of crimes can be innocent in other crimes and still end up being charged for it because of that. So I'm not sure if they've done away with it or not. I hope they have, because it's a very messed up crime. It's a very messed up law. On January 27th of 1992, she was convicted of the murder after Ty testified against her. On January 31st of 1992, she was sentenced to death for the murder of Richard Mallory. Now, let me tell you why this particular one pisses me off. Because Richard Mallory was charged with attempted rape in Maryland, and they decided that they wanted to use Williams' rule against Aileen and pull up her criminal background as leverage in the case, but they didn't want to do the same thing for Richard Mallory, who was literally charged with attempted rape and is also being accused of attempted rape. Why did it not kick in for him? That pisses me off, because honestly, I believe that. I do believe, and it's not just because of his background, but it's also because what other reason would she have to? I wasn't there. I don't know. But be for real. I believe it. Like, it's not impossible. It's not far-fetched. It definitely could have happened that way. Like, I'm not going to say that all of them happened that way, but that one for sure, I believe. I 100% believe. Like, you could not pay me to not believe that that is what happened. Come on. And to make matters worse, the judge that presided over her case decided that he was not going to use Richard Mallory's rape conviction in the case to help Aileen at all. And when she requested a retrial, he denied it. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, come on. It's like, she's already being charged with literally 4 other murders. So you can't let her get away with this one? Like, I'm not going to say get away with it, but you're not going to, like, give her a little bit of leniency on this one. She's charged with 4 other murders. She's looking at 4 other death sentences. So why would you decide to tack on an extra one? You can't die 5 times. Be for real. Like, you cannot die 5 times. So why did you feel the need to be unnecessary? And just because she gets away with the first one, it doesn't mean that she's gonna, just because she used the same defense in all of them, it doesn't mean that they're gonna let her walk on all of them. Like, this particular one really just gets under my skin. It just really pisses me off. It does. And this is the only one that I actually believe her in. Like, all of the rest of them, she probably just did it because she wanted to. But this one right here, I wholeheartedly believe that she was telling the truth on this, for real. On March 31st of 1992, she pled no contest to the murders of Charles Humphreys, David Spears, and Troy Burris. And she was given an additional 3 life sentences on top of that. Like, I'm sorry, she was given an additional 3 death sentences on top of the one that she already got for Richard Mallory. So right now, she has a total of 4 death sentences. You cannot die 4 times. In June of 1992, she actually decided to just plead guilty to the murder of Charles Carskadon. She pled guilty, and she was given, what do you know, another death sentence. In February of 1993, Aileen will receive her 6th death sentence when she pled guilty to the murder of Walter Antonio. The only thing that she could not be the only murder that she couldn't be charged with was the murder of Peter Symes, and that's because his body was literally never found. So no body, no case. They literally could not charge her with it. So that prevented her from getting a 7th death sentence, as if it matters. Now, you know, when people go to prison, they start doing them evaluations. Well, Aileen was evaluated while she was in prison, and she took a, like, I don't know how many of y'all have ADHD, but I have adult ADHD. And there's a test that you take, not a test, but it's like a questionnaire where they ask you certain questions, and if you score like a certain amount, like they'll ask you a question and they'll be like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you do this? On a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you do that? So it's like on a scale. And after they ask you all the questions, they like tally up everything. And when they tally everything up, you get a final score. And if your score falls within a certain spectrum, it determines if you have, like, it determines your test results, basically. After scoring high on a checklist, she was officially labeled a psychopath because of some of the answers that she gave and some of the, like, the scale that everything was on. If the maximum score was like a 50, she scored like a 40. Like, that's how bad it was. So she was labeled a psychopath. Well, she was diagnosed as a psychopath, which I'm not sure how that works. I look crazy as hell, but guess what? We gonna keep this motherfucker rolling. Aileen was also interviewed by Nick Bromfield, and when the interview was, I think it was about to start, or it had just ended. I'm not sure which one, but either way, she thought that the cameras were off, but the cameras were still recording. And when she thought the cameras were off, she ended up saying to Nick, like in confidence or whatever, she ended up telling him that all of the murders that happened were in self-defense, which also leads me to believe that she was kind of telling the truth, because what reason does she have to lie in front of, like, what reason does she have, like, for real? So that's another thing that leads me to believe that she was somewhat telling the truth. The cameras weren't rolling. She didn't think that anybody was listening. She was like, yeah, it was self-defense. Unless she was just trying to, like, say it over and over again. Like, you know how it was like, who you trying to convince, me or yourself? Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Like, I may not believe all of them, but Richard Mallory, I definitely believe that he did something. He definitely did something. I don't know. And she also said that not only was it self-defense, but she said that she started pleading guilty because she hated being on death row. Like, she figured if she just went ahead and either didn't fight the charges, or if she just went ahead and pled guilty to everything, then the judge would, like, speed up her death sentence. And there's a very, I don't want to say infamous interview, but because most people have not seen it, but I'm gonna insert, like, a clip from one of her interviews where she's basically, actually I think it is the Nick Bromfield interview, where she's basically just, like, saying that she is not happy with living. She does not want to be here anymore. Like, she has accepted her fate and she is ready to go. And honestly, it's kind of sad when you watch it, because, like, she just seems so defeated. Like, she was like, there's nothing I can do to get out of this. I can't call on anybody. Like, this is it for me. Just take me out of my misery. And it's very sad to watch, because, like, she was never supposed to make it. She really wasn't. And that's so sad. But I'll try to look for the interview and go ahead and insert it so that you guys can see it. Maybe it, like, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind on if they, girl, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind on, like, whether they want to believe her or not, because at the end of the day, she did take people's lives, and that is still wrong in the grand scheme of things. But I don't know, like, when you hear her speak about it, it's just, you kind of feel bad for her. I think that's what it is. Like, I felt bad for her because she'd been through so much in life, and she just never stood a chance, like, for real. And it's kind of sad. So she was incarcerated at the Broward Correctional Institution for Women while she was, like, awaiting trial and everything. And after she got sentenced to death, she was on death row at the Florida State Prison. And baby, once you go to the Florida State Prison, it's like the Florida State Prison is the Florida version of Huntsville Prison in Texas. You go there, you frying. Like, that's it for you. You are going to fry. She did have some appeals in place to still, like, kind of work on her case, But after a while, she kind of just accepted her fate, and she canceled all of her appeals, and she dismissed her legal counsel. She was just like, it is what it is. Even if y'all were to help me, I still don't want to live anymore, so they might as well end it all for me. Fuck it. So I mean, I get it. Like, they weren't gonna try to like work with her anyway, so I can see why she did what she did. And sis just didn't want to be here no more. She was given the option to have a last meal, and she declined to have that last meal. Instead, she just asked for a cup of coffee. She was executed on October 9th, 2002, which was my 7th birthday. And she was pronounced dead at 9:47 a.m. I'm not gonna put lashes on because I'm gonna take this shit right back off. I'm not even gonna bother to put lipstick on. So this is, I've been drinking, okay? Okay, it looks crazy because I've been drinking. Maybe if I turn my lights down. Her body was cremated following her execution, and one of her childhood friends actually went and scattered her remains underneath a tree in Michigan. I'm not exactly sure where the tree was, but okay, this is my theory. Remember at the beginning of this, not the beginning, but remember when I was talking about her childhood and when she first got kicked out when she was 15, and that she was living like in the woods near where she grew up? I could be wrong, but I think that the tree that her remains are scattered underneath is the tree that she used to sleep under when she was homeless. And that's so sad. Like, I could be wrong, but let's pretend like that's what it is, just to make me feel better, okay? But yeah, I think that's why her remains were scattered underneath the tree. Like, the tree has some type of significance, so I think that's what it is. That's what it is. I'm not even gonna say I think. I know that's what it is. Hello. But yeah, her life was brought to the big screen in the 2003 film Monster, and she was her character was played by Charlize Theron, and she ended up winning an Academy Award for Best Actress, which is amazing. If you've never seen the movie, first of all, before you even watch the movie, Google a picture of Charlize Theron, and then Google a picture of Charlize Theron as Aileen Wuornos. I could not even tell it was her. I could not tell it was her. The costume design was on point, because I'm not trying to call my sis Aileen ugly, but when you look at Charlize and you look at Aileen, they look nothing alike. Nothing alike. So the fact that they were able to kind of make her look like her, costume design on point, like, hello. But yeah, so she played Charlize played Aileen, and she won the Academy Award. And the role of Ty, they changed her name, but her character was played by Christina Ricci. So the movie is good. It's on Netflix. I actually just thought about it. It is on Netflix. If you guys want to watch it, I do highly recommend it. It's a pretty good movie, even though I still say to take some things with a grain of salt, because y'all know how movies be lying. They lie and they try to like glamorize things, but for the most part, I feel like it told a pretty good account of it was good. Okay, just watch it. But that is all I have for you guys today. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. They're working on my apartment right now. Once I have everything together and I'm settled in, I will be giving more consistent content, I promise. But right now it's just a little bit hard for me. So thank you for bearing with me. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.
I'm a big deal.